Hello, beautiful ladies of the Digital Charm class. And as you can see, today is a laid back day. Today is our last lecture, and later on this week, we'll be having our last lab. This is it. We have come, oh my gosh, so far by faith. And so the culmination, of course, we'll be doing more one-on-one kind of things next week. Planning and finalizing and solidifying your branding, your slogan, your logo, all that jazz for launch. So be looking for me to reach out to you either one-on-one or in the group, where you can just let me know a good time so we can talk about that. And I reached out to a couple of you already to run that by you, just to solidify a time when we can confirm it. And so I can help you get your mind right around going live with the launch, okay? So be looking for, if you hadn't responded or if I hadn't gotten back out to you, look for me to just come make that loop again to you. So it's come to the point where we're going to talk today about a little bit more about the story. So to help me do that, I've created a little visual. And welcome, Secret Code Charms. I always like to welcome y'all too. I just want to thank y'all so much for tuning in and being a part of this experience. This, in a nutshell, is just your debut. And so we're going to treat it as such. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of you, and you're inviting the social community in on it. So they'll know who you are really, and how you can help, because every one of you, whether you have a good product, service, offer, or opportunity, you're here to help. And whether you do that by saving somebody or improving the quality of their life, I just feel like it's our responsibility. Living the good life, living the charm life, the delighted life, is helping to delight others in some way. So we do that. One way that we can do that is through sharing our story. So on the last training, we talked about sharing our story, and to bring that home, the teacher in me created there it is, a visual for you. So I'm going to bring it up, and how can I do this? I'm going to see if I can do the one thingy. Yeah, that'll work. And I'm going to share my screen. Really excited to share this with you. That will help a little bit with creating and drafting the story. Now, every post won't be a story, but the majority of them will be. I would say anywhere from 80 to 90%. Now, they don't have to be very lengthy. You can see some of mine are lengthy and some are kind of medium length. But 80 to 90% of your posts, to some regard, need to be some kind of promotional post. You might not necessarily be asking for the sale, but you're inviting them in to your world. You're giving them the invitation to your tribe, letting them see who you are so they can raise their hand and say, hey, that's me too. I had this situation, or I'm having this situation. What you just shared helped me, or it can help me. So whether it's a post, whether it's a live, whether it's a graphic, whether it's a story, get to the point where you practice. It becomes second nature for you, especially if you're going to build a business here. If you're just here for poops and giggles, honey, you don't have to do any of these. But if you're here to grow a following, to grow your tribe, to find out who they are so they can know who you are, then 80 to 90% needs to be, I would encourage you to have 80 to 90% of promotional natured thingies. Stories are just one of them. All right, but it's a huge piece because it can be very emotional. It can be very lead generating. It can be income generating, when you do it the right way. And the right way is puncturing a nerve in the heart. All right? You're just planting that little seed. Some might buy that day when you ask for the sale. Some it might take 6 weeks, some 6 months, others 6 years. Every post is not going to be a sale, but every post can be, you can get a lead. All right? Does everybody understand that distinction? Every post that you do from the heart that goes for the juggler, that has an emotional tag on it, and people respond and react to it, that's a lead. For example, I did a post, what was it? Saturday with my boys, with my baby boy rather. I was at one of his events, about to put him on a flight in a couple of hours to go out of state. Y'all, I've been letting people know that I've been a cheer mom for a while. On Saturday, it was the first time I got over 100 leads on that post. A lead is any response or reaction to something that you put out. That's what marketing is. Marketing is something that you generate, you put out in hopes that an unnamed individual will respond to it. More than likely, it'll be somebody in your tribe. And based on that lead, you determine, okay, this person thinks like me, feels like me. They may want to hang with me. And people buy shit, from people they like to hang with. They're more apt to buy something from you if you say, hey, I tried this out the other day and already I've lost a pound in 5 days. Here, try it out. Let me know what you think. As opposed to somebody on an infomercial who they don't have any relationship with that person. What your posts do, what your stories do, is immediately create a friend, a connection, a relationship. So let's take a look at this story mountain, what I call a story mountain. Pain, agitate, resolve. Really simple. We learned this in grade school. I just developed this from a Venn diagram that I had used as a teacher, right? Everything you learned in first grade, Margot. Everything. How to treat people, how to listen, how to feel. So when we start sharing our story live or written post, because you've been in this digital charm class, you've got an edge because you can start with the end in mind. You can start with, I already know how I want my folks to feel when they read this. Because I know it's the feeling that generates motion, movement. I already know how I want them to feel. And so you already know you have a list of words that you can use to double that. All of your branding words you have at your disposal to use to disperse within your live and in your written posts. And so your assignment was to draft 10 of these instances in your life. Not to write about them, just this happened to me. I ran away from school in 2nd grade. I wore braces for 5 years. I got married when I was a junior in high school. I had my first baby. It was a high-risk pregnancy. Okay, these just listing the things that have occurred in your life. And every one of them, I can guarantee you, there was a beginning to the situation, a middle, and there was a resolution to it, a plot. And sometimes that conflict that was inside of that plot was an internal issue where you had to rise to the occasion, where you were called upon to make a decision or you had to participate. And sometimes the things that you'll share will be a conflict between you and somebody else. When I shared that story about me getting fired on my day off, the first lady, one of the ladies in the that commented was like, first woman to comment, the same thing happened to me. Automatic connection. I can tell you, give it 90 days. That young lady is going to be doing one of my programs. This is how we do it. It ain't rocket science. Margot, we're not asking you how to go out here and get sales. We're just asking you to tell your story. The other will come, but you got to plant the seed, y'all. You can't get an apple tree in a day. And sometimes it could be you against the conflict, could be you against a tornado. It could be you against a terminal illness, like I was sharing with you guys this morning with my father. But share that, the pain of it. And actually, I went out of sync. So go from branding words you use and how you want, knowing in your mind how you want them to feel. If you want to feel happy, then the story, the tone of the story that you share should be a happy one. If you want your folks to feel depressed, tell some shit that made you sad. I would not encourage that. But think about the things before you put pen to paper. How do I really want people to feel? I don't want them to feel encouraged. I want them to feel pity, feel sad. You want them to feel moved, not pity. Empathetic, not sympathy. You want them to feel relieved, not remorsed. Okay, so these are things you have to think about before, as a business owner, before you put thumbs and fingers, digits to post. Always, I like to, and often, and if you go back to any of my posts, and I would encourage you just to go back to one of my posts that got a lot of house, and just use it as a format template. It's there for you to copy and paste. I like to open with questions. When you open with a question, people, the mind is automatically triggered to shift and go places. It's just automatically it's gonna do that. We're wired to do that. When you say, I remember Margot saying this on her branding archetype call. She likes can I start something with once upon a time? The hell yes, you can. Once upon a time. I'm already sitting. I'm ready. I'm listening. You got me. Another key phrase that all of the branding consultants and highest paid storytellers use, and content and copywriters would unanimously agree that this 2-word phrase cues anybody to your corner, and that is imagine if. See, that's why the story is so powerful. That's why you have to put thought into how you want people to feel, because people are looking for a healing. That's why we have to, I remember my coach saying this, somebody asked her, well, when is a good time to share your story? When you didn't heal from it. If you hadn't healed from it, don't come out here and tell. You remember that call, Margot? I think you were on there. If you hadn't healed from it, don't share it. Because what you want through your sharing of your story is for your listener, your reader, to imagine a new them, imagine a new life. And if you hadn't yet done that, all you're going to do is portray and project pain and suffering and pity. And we don't heal the world like that. We heal people from the places where we have healed. Imagine if. When you say those 2 words, automatically all the synapses in that person's mind start popping off. So that's a good one to open with. Imagine if you had $1,000 every day to spend or to use. We'll talk about that word spend in in our 10-day immersion program. But for lack of another example, imagine if you had $1,000 every day to spend. You know what that does? It gets people to thinking. So also in your story, you want to include where and when and all that good stuff. You want to, all the things you did in 11th grade literature class when you started writing your short story. All right. And the last thing, that's why it's that's why it's so important and key to have healed from your story before you share it, because you're sharing it to provide a solution for someone. What is this Margot or Chastity? Margot, great graphic. Thank you, Krista. Thank you. So yeah, that's why you share the story, because you want to tell people this is what I learned. If you still hurting from it, you ain't learned from it. Amen. You didn't see the blessing in it. Amen. What decisions were made? How did you solve it? How did you muster up the courage? How does it impact you now? That's the other thing. Your story, if you hadn't healed from it, it is still negatively impacting you now. And there are too many stories where you have been the victor and the hero in it for you to share. There are literally probably hundreds of thousands of them. Use one of them. Because that's where your potential client and customer is looking. They want to know how you're going to help me. You can't help me in a place that you hadn't helped yourself. So this is your story mountain. It's real simple. You know why it's simple? The words might take, you might have to go a couple of drafts, but it's simple because it's your story. And ain't nobody gonna tell it like you. Can't nobody tell it like you. It's your story. Nobody knows it but you. Now, there may have been characters and other players at hand. Your mama may have been there, your ex may have been there, your children may have been there, but nobody knows your vantage point, which means that nobody can argue with it. Nobody can debate it. Nobody can counter it. And so that's why when you see people come and tell their story and they have healed from it, they are probably the most confident, self-assured people on the face of the planet. Because it ain't shit you could tell them about what they learned from their story. I don't care how you walk, where you went. I know this. Now this I know. And it's because, and it's when rather, people are allowing their story to cage them and keep them in bondage, that they walk around in life as the victim. So, I shared with you at the beginning of this course that this was more than just cutesy shit. Your story is you. And when you can point out those times in your life where you learned something, no matter what it is. Somebody could do a damn shoe about learning how to tie their shoes for the first time. That can bring people to tears. And they could sell a whole bunch of shoelaces. It's who you are when you tell that story. It's how you let that story propel you to live, not shrink you. What decisions did you make as a result of that? I had a very tough breakup when I was in college. And I made a decision I would never give up my life for a man. How did you solve it? Based on that decision, I said, the next person that I like, it'll be somebody I choose, not somebody that chooses me. How does it impact you now? How do you help others? I now teach women how to feel self-confident in going with their gut reaction whenever they have a new connection with a man. You see how that happens? There's so many decisions you've made to this point, ladies, that you are just, everybody does that. When you made a decision to change your toothpaste, that was a huge deal. It was a huge deal to whoever you switched it to. Because from that point on, you increased their bottom line. Their margins increased. How impactful are you? Right, Margot? No decision you've ever made to this point has been a small one. Not one. So, any questions about the story? Mountain. I'm going to upload that in the group. Now that you've seen the story, Mountain, did any incidents in your mind pop up and you're like, okay, I could certainly develop a story around that? A time in your life where you could develop a story around it?
Yes, ma'am. When I
Kristen?
deleted all my text messages from a certain person,
Oh,
and it turns out I needed them, or actually, it turns out I didn't need them, but there was a possibility of a legal issue, and so I found out what I needed to do to restore those.
yes. But you know what? I bet it took you days. I bet your stomach was in knots before you literally pushed that button to delete. You swiped it. It always asks to confirm.
Oh no. Oh no. It was
Delete, click, delete.
It was a bad afternoon visit. And by the time I got home, I was like, I'm done. Period. Delete, block, call my boss. Guess what? And then a couple days later, I was like, I was like, well, maybe I should have kept those because they're proof of what I did. So, yeah. So,
but you made the right decision.
I thought so.
Yeah, Krista. Now, Krista, as you can see, I would have been hesitating. I hesitate before I delete text.
Oh no.
You see what I'm saying? What? But you think that, oh, everybody just deletes text as fast as you did. Not everybody does.
Well, that's a product of life.
Yeah.
But once I decided enough is enough, I'm just done. I'm like,
that's a lesson in itself, Krista. And there were some life experiences that helped you get to that point.
Yes.
Of course there were. Enough is enough.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
But it worked out well. So
it worked out well. And that's another post. When a decision that you make works out well, because y'all, most of them do. And when they don't, just know these 5 words. Most decisions can be undone. I hadn't made a decision yet, and I'm 45. That was life or death. Nobody died because I made a decision.
Yeah, but I'd rather not grovel.
Oh, we don't grovel. We don't grovel. That's a good one. That's a good one, Krista. What about you, Margot?
Life things that we can turn into stories.
Just give me one story of, one life experience. You have siblings, Margot?
I'm a complete blank this morning. I don't know what's going on, or this afternoon. I don't know what's going on.
Do you have siblings?
I do.
Okay. Which means I know you have 3 times the stories in life if you got siblings.
I don't know.
Had a first job, a last job.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, of course you do. You just need to put them on paper. So I'm going to be uploading the mountain story in the group, in the digital charm class. I want you to seriously, folks, write down those 10, and I want to see them. Now, Margot, right before, I did see where you could help ladies. Love that. Write those 10 incidents. They don't have to be all bad.
Are those the same 10 things we wrote the other day, or these are different 10 things?
What did y'all write the other day? The other day, I think we started the other day.
Okay, because I
Yeah.
did a list of 10 things from,
Let me see.
I don't know. I can go back and, now that I know we're creating stories out of them, I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Some life episodes, should I say.
Okay.
Where the solution came, then you can help somebody with it. Because we can blend it into your business easily after that. Very easily.
Okay.
Alrighty. Yes, puppy. Yes, puppy. We're about to go. So, ladies, if no other questions, be looking for me to reach out. I'll be posting the story mountain in the group. Let's list these defining moments. Remember where you had to lead, or you participated, you made a decision. Those defining moments. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where we led, where we participated, where we made a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just go back and look at the homework assignment. It's a little bit more descriptive. And if you got questions, just let me know. If you want me to look over something, drop it in. All right, ladies, we've come down to the wire.
I can't believe
This is it. It flew by.
you did.
8 weeks didn't take long. And as always, ladies, you know I love you to life. I'm going to stop the recording.